Hi everyone, and welcome to a new Q&A. So today we're gonna be talking all Teachers Pay Teachers questions that y'all have asked me over on my Instagram, which is at Becca.e.davis. If you're not following, make sure you do, because we do things like ask me some questions. So go grab a cup of coffee, even though it is fully 7:30 at night, so I probably shouldn't be drinking this. But you know, it's fine because I sleep so hard every night because my kids wear me out. Anyway, grab a coffee, grab a tea, grab some water, whatever it is that you're going to drink, and let's hop right on in. So the first question is from Miss Lindsay 146, and it says, I know you're big on bundles, but I also individualize each one. Is that okay? So I'm guessing that you mean that you have individual activities that are then bundled. Yes, that is the best way to do bundles because that's going to get the most out of your bundles. So bundling means that you take a couple of products and stick them together. You can use the TPT bundling tool, and that is what I'd suggest, because then if someone goes to your individual activity, then they will see that is in the bundle, and it's a good way to kind of like drive people towards the bundle. So definitely that is okay and the best way to do it. She also asks, is it better to have a store full of bundles or full of individual items? Both, because they should be individual items that are then bundled. You need to have a variety of price points, but the big thing about bundles is that you are selling more at one time, so that then people are spending more money at one time. So that really helps to bring in more money because you're selling more expensive products. Kimberly's Classroom says, favorite Disney character? Oh, that's a harder one than I thought it was gonna be. I probably relate the most to Belle, so I might go with Belle. Yeah, she's a bookworm. The Chromatic Music Teacher says, hi, fellow music teacher. Hello. What are some good getting started tips with TBT? I have many good getting started tips with TBT. The first one would be to really think about products that can go together and creating those product lines. So what I mean by that is a couple of products that can go to others. So either one concept with a couple of different activities, or one activity that covers different concepts. So maybe you have different, you know, vocabulary words. If you're a music person, maybe you have, you know, this activity for quarter and eighth notes, this activity for rest, this activity for that, and those things, because what's going to happen is that when someone goes and purchases one, they can then easily purchase the other ones, especially if they like the first one. And that's going to help increase your revenue. You can also bundle them, so you can put them all in one bundle for a higher ticket item. And also it's really helpful for you because once you've made one, it is so much easier to make the next 20 because you already have like a template, or if you're doing one concept with many different activities, you're already thinking of those activities, you're thinking of that concept, you're thinking in that kind of headspace, and so it just makes it so much faster. That would be my number one tip. And my number two tip would be make sure that you plan for time to work on your store every week. This is the biggest mistake I see people make. They're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start a TBT shop, but then they don't actually like have a plan for when they're gonna work. And then 6 months goes by and they've done like nothing. And then they're shocked that their store hasn't taken off. They're like, nothing has worked. And I'm like, what did you do? You know, like, you need to put effort into it in order to make sure that you are getting, you know, effort out of it. So just sit down and decide, you know, a couple of hours a week that you can spend on your TBT shop, even if it's different every week. Just decide what you're gonna do and when you're gonna do it, and stick to it, because if you have those habits, then you'll have the time to actually put into your store to actually make it so that you then are getting stuff out of your store. Zoe asked, when do you walk your dogs? When it's 1,000 degrees outside, I don't walk my dogs. I let them in the backyard and they run around by themselves. Whenever the weather gets cooler, then I will take them on walks after school a few days a week. I used to take them running, but I haven't been running because it's been 1,000 degrees outside. So there's that. Kid Equip NZ New Zealand says, how does your hubby feel when you are working when he's home? So let me start by saying my husband works a lot, and so even like right now it is 7:30 and he like just left the office and his office is an hour away. So on a typical day we don't eat dinner until like 8 o'clock, 8:30. Like it's pretty dang late that he's gone. So that means I have, you know, from when I get home until then that he's not even home, that I don't have to worry about it. I can, you know, work to my heart's content. I can film all the videos and he's not home. Not that I can't do it when he is home, because I sometimes do. So that's part 2 of this question is, yes, I do work when my husband is home. I'll work on the weekends, and sometimes when it's like later at night, sometimes I'll grab my laptop on the couch and work while we're watching TV and stuff like that. But I do try to have some boundaries, so I'm not doing it all of the time. And really just kind of setting aside time for him versus time for that. The other thing is he actually kind of enjoys when I like go work in my office, because that means that he doesn't, you know, feel like he needs to entertain me. Not that I need entertainment, but you know, like you feel like sometimes you have to spend every minute that you're home together, but you really don't. And so when I come and work my office, that means that he can then go work in his office, or he can take a bath, or he can play his mandolin, or you know, whatever it is that he wants to do. He can watch the race on TV and I'm not irritated by it because I don't care about the race. So different things like that. I try to minimize how much I work when he is home, because I have so much time that he's not home that I can work, but he doesn't mind it as long as, you know, it's not all the time. So I really just try to be mindful that it's not all the time. Katie, my lady, said, is it possible to make decent money on TBT without social media? I have never tried, so I can't tell you for sure either way. But here's what I'm going to tell you. TBT is a search engine. And so through TBT, you can make quite a bit of money just from TBT. So just posting resources and that's it. But it's only going to get you so far. Like at some point you're going to hit a wall. Actually, I've had people talk to me that have been like, oh, I've been on TBT for like years and it was fine. And then I hit a wall and I couldn't go past it. Or I hit a wall and then my sales started regressing over the years. And usually I find that that's because you haven't been marketing. So when you are marketing, you are pushing traffic over to your TBT store and no longer relying on TBT for all of your sales, which is a big thing for me. I'm like, I don't want to rely on TBT for all my sales because you just never know what's going to happen. So I like to push my own traffic, send people myself over to my TBT store. That can be accomplished through a blog, through a YouTube channel, through a podcast, through social media. You know, there's lots of different options, so it doesn't have to be social media if that's not your thing, but it is a possibility. Why I like social media is it gives you a chance to actually talk to your audience and find out what they need, what they're interested in. They get to know you as a person, which means that they're now more likely to buy from you in the future because they actually see you as a person and not, you know, just like this weird entity. They know who you are. So I've had this where I have been searching for something and I saw 2 that were very similar, but I knew who one of the people was because I followed them on Instagram, and I purchased that one instead of the other one because I knew who that person was and I trusted them a little bit more. So you can be okay with, you know, not doing social media, not doing marketing, but it's just gonna boil down to what do you want to get out of it? Because if you want it to do really well, then you need to put in the work and you need to put in the effort. You don't have to do social media, but you also don't have to have a TBT store. So, you know, there's that. The next question is from Love to Play Preschool, and it says, how many lead magnets do you have? A lot. More than I would like. So I have a freebie library, which means that I have basically, you sign up and then you get access to lots of different things, and that's where I get the bulk of my things from. Nowadays, I actually prefer to have one big lead magnet than lots of small ones. So I have made a couple of bigger, more useful things the last year and this year that have done much better. So I have like 3 big lead magnets. I had one for hybrid teaching, one for teaching on Zoom, So those aren't as applicable now. And then one this year that I started for new music teachers. And those things do a lot better because they're more specific, they're more helpful, people are more inclined to want to use them. Versus like all of the little freebies. I still have all the little freebies, but it's just not like my favorite way to do it anymore. So if I was starting over, I would have less lead magnets. I would have pretty much one lead magnet for every large portion of my business, if that kind of makes sense. Kip Knight says, where does most of your sales traffic come from on your TPT dashboard? I would love to know the percentage breakdown. I haven't started any of these and just relying on TPT search, so it would be good to know which is best for my next step. So first of all, I can't give you an accurate breakdown because I'm pulling out my laptop, because I use a lot of UTM codes, which are the custom URL codes. So they come up on my dashboard as separate websites. So like my blog is not like one link from my blog, it's like 20 links from my blog. So let's see what we can do. Okay. All right. So it looks like right now, for this first like week of the month, it says that I've made about 2/3 of my money from TBT. Now, that can be misleading because that just means someone went to TBT and not from somewhere else first, which could mean they clicked on a pin and then put it on their wish list and then came back later and bought it. It could mean that they saw something on Instagram and then searched it and bought it. You know, there's lots of different options for why it could show up that way, even though that's not entirely accurate. But mine would be teachers pay teachers. Number 2 is definitely my email list. Number 3 is my blog. And it looks like number 4 is Pinterest. And then YouTube about number 5, from what I can tell. There's so many because it's like, I mean, literally every YouTube video has its own link and stuff like that. So hard to tell. But that would be my progression of probably TBT, TBT, email, blog, YouTube, Pinterest, kind of like stuck together. However, I have to get people to my email list from my blog or my YouTube channel or my Instagram. And I have to get people to my blog, which is usually where Pinterest comes in. So there's a lot of traffic like from Pinterest to my blog, from my blog to TBT and stuff like that. So it never tells the whole story, but there's my top ones. I don't know how to pronounce this. BHUHN88 says, I know you say sellers' first focus should be 50 plus products listings before an email list, blog, social, etc. Can you describe in more detail what you did next or talk about your mistakes? So first of all, this is not how I did it. I started as a blogger. So I did blog. I had an Instagram. Along with that, I was terrible at it. I then added an email list and then I added TBT and YouTube at the same time. The reason I say 50 products first is because I see and talk to a lot of new sellers who get started and then they get kind of overwhelmed by everything and then they don't have a lot of time and then they either get frustrated and quit, or they are so caught up in Instagram that then they're not making products. And if you don't have products, then like that's the thing that's gonna, you know, make you the money, because you have to have products to buy them. And Instagram can be really hard at first and things like that. So that's not the progression I took. That's the progression I suggest from what I have seen works from talking to new TBT sellers and just kind of figuring out like what is a good mixture of like overwhelmed versus, you know, on top of things. So that's my story when it comes to that. I would honestly love it if you did products and something else, but the main thing is that you're not overwhelmed. If you were going to do it, I would do products, and then I personally would add a long form content. So either YouTube or podcast or a blog, because those are long-term strategies that are going to work over and over. They're going to continue to send traffic and all of that stuff. And then I would add social and email. I would even do email list and then social. You can do it however you want. I always suggest you just pick whatever you think is gonna be best so that you are more likely to stick with it. So there's gotta be a good, you know, mixture of what I suggest and what you're actually going to stick with, because those are not the same things. Teacher Inspo 123 says, please explain Pinterest. Oh my. In my TPT statistics, I have quite a bit of traffic from Pinterest, but no money. I have over 300 resources and still not sure about the ins and outs of Pinterest. Thanks in advance. Okay, first of all, if you are new to Pinterest, Pinterest has come out and said it takes about 3 to 6 months of consistent hitting to actually gain traction. So if you are new, don't stress. Number 2, know that TPT's data is not always accurate, because again, someone could click on your link from Pinterest, they could look at it. I always do Pinterest on my phone and you can't purchase from your phone, so that's a big thing. Like, there's a lot of different reasons why it may not be successful. I heard someone say once, talking about Pinterest ads actually, she said, if I spend $1 and I sell anything in my store, like on a Pinterest ad, I consider that successful, even if it like says it's not from Pinterest. So do take that with a grain of salt. As far as how Pinterest works, when you are researching, do not look at anything that is pre-July 2020. I would even go as far as don't look at anything that's before 2021, because Pinterest has completely changed literally everything in the past year, and it's been a great time. So basically, you'll want to create a pin for your resources. You're going to, you're going to put that pin in on boards, and you want to make it all keyword friendly. So you want to add lots of terms that people are searching for in your board titles, in your board descriptions, in your pin descriptions. All of those things should be things that people can search for, because Pinterest is a search engine. So you really want to make sure that people can search for things so that then they can use them. Pinterest's new thing is idea pins, which are basically TikTok but for Pinterest, and they do not link to anything, but they do help you to get in front of more people, at least for now, since they are still pushing them. I have lots of Pinterest information, so I will leave what I have down below, and if you have specific questions, please let me know so I know to do like a next video. Jack Russell's Life, oh, we used to have a Jack Russell Terrier, says, hi Becca, I'd love for you to explain traction. Do TPT stores generally keep increasing sales from month to month? I don't do social media, but I've noticed how monthly sales increase from the previous month. Thank you. So when I say your store gains traction, what I usually mean is at first you're just gonna have like nothing or just a surprise thing. After a few months of really putting in effort, making those products, hopefully doing a little bit of marketing, but you know, whatever's gonna work for you is gonna work for you, then your store will start to gain traction. So when my store, for example, I'm not like worried about if I'm going to make a sale. I don't know like 100% how much I'm going to make, but you know, I know that I will make sales because I have for many months now. So you'll see that it'll gain traction. At first, usually it is, each month will be better. However, different things can change that. So if you have a lot of seasonal resources, then that can change it. And then summer, June and July are just always going to be horrible and things like that. So for example, so if you have seasonal resources, or if people are looking for your particular things in a particular season, then it might not be every month going up. But for the most part at the beginning, I usually see it goes up, and then you'll hit a place where it'll start to fluctuate a lot more based on the season, based on the resources you have, based on what people are purchasing. And again, the summer months are going to stink. So then you just, you know, keep going. So at first it can be really slow and really disheartening, but you will hit a place where you have some traction, you have some momentum, and your store will start to go. It's not like a scientific thing, it's just a thing. Ingrid asked, when you edit a resource, do you use the one from the TPT file or do you resubmit? I worry if I edit a Google file on the drive and someone is buying at that time, it could be a problem. So if I'm editing something for TPT, I just edit it in the file. I don't resubmit. If they have a problem, they can try again in 5 minutes and it'll be fine. If I am not putting it on TPT, like I'm trying to edit something for my own use, always make sure that you make a copy so that you don't edit the actual file, because if you do make any changes to the original Google file, it will automatically, then it will change for everybody. They'll have to go and re-download it. It won't automatically do it for them, but just do be aware of that, so that if you know, like when I do it with my kids, I'd make a copy and I put my school name in the title so that I remember this is the one that's not on TBT. This is the one that's for my kiddos in case I need something different. Hey, Christina Michelle says, can you point me in the right direction of posts or resources you've made on how to get started? I have all these resources I've made for my students, but thinking they might need to be revamped to sell. Yes, I have a whole playlist on my YouTube channel talking all about new teacher tips, and so we talk about how to, you know, make your worksheets or make Google Slides. We talk about how to post things. We talk about how to make a thumbnail. We talk about new TPT seller tips. We like literally, if you have a question, it's probably answered on there. So I will leave that link down below and you can check that out. And the last question I've got is Plan with Purpose said, I'm guessing yes, but do you find the town halls valuable to attend? I saw the email today that one is coming up. I try to watch them typically, honestly, because I'm on this YouTube channel. And so when there's updates, I want to know things quickly so that then if y'all have questions, I'm already aware of it, because I hate when y'all have questions and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Especially when it's something new that happened recently. Zoe sent me, that happened recently actually. Someone sent me a DM and was like, what do I do about this? And I was like, I don't know. So that's the main reason I watch them, is just so that I'm on top of things for y'all. But yes, there is some helpful stuff. It's not like the most amazing hour of my life, but I usually put it on, and don't tell TPT, but I usually am working on products while I am listening to it so that I, you know, am not bored. So there's that. They do usually keep them pretty quick and pretty speedy, so I will say it's not like the worst thing ever, but I usually work on products and listen to them. But you know, you learn things quickly. They usually send it all out via email as well, but you can just learn things quickly, and that's really helpful, because then you can know, like when they announced TPT ESOL and ESOL assessments and all of those kind of things, like you were able to find that out. They do updates and they just, you know, tell you what's going on, and so that's helpful. But that's my 2 cents about it. I watch it mostly for all of y'all so that I know things when you have questions. All right, friends, that is all the questions that I have for today. If you are not already following on Instagram, make sure you go head over there. It's at Becca.e.davis. And if you have more questions, feel free to leave them in the comments or send me a message on Instagram, because honestly, I'm much more likely to answer that. And then you can answer me back and we can like actually have a conversation about whatever it is you have questions about. I love talking to you. This has given me a couple of ideas for like new videos that are gonna come out soon. So I'm excited, because when I know what questions you have, it's much easier for me to figure out what content to create that's actually going to be useful and timely to you. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I have a couple of other Q&As, so if you just like this form of content, then you can check those out as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!